Alright, what's going on everyone? It's Super here and welcome back to another Injustice 2 video. Now today, we're going to be going over Mr. Freeze. And I did bite the big one and I decided to spend some of my source crystals on the Mr. Freeze Premier skin because out of the Premier skins I don't have from the Ultimate Edition stuff, Mr. Freeze is definitely the one that I was most wanted to get. Like Jay Garrick, Vixen, they're cool and everything, but I wanted the coolest one. And of course, I'm talking about Mr. Freeze. I'm still not thrilled about the no helmet design. The costume is fine, but no helmet throws it off for me. But I love the character, so I wanted to spend the Source Crystals on Mr. Freeze. So here we go. We're breaking down Mr. Freeze and what makes Mr. Freeze one of my favorite characters to play, because he is a setup slash trap character, which I'll go into, you know, all the different things you could do in a bit. But here we go. So let's start off with some of his normal moves. Now, Captain Cold... Now, Mr. Freeze... I'm probably going to make that mistake a lot. I'm not going to get used to it for a while. So Mr. Freeze has almost no combo strings and has very slow buttons. Like I said, he's a range character or a setup character. You want to be getting people into, you know, mix-ups like that. So his fastest button is actually 6 frames, but it's his down 1, and it doesn't combo into anything. It doesn't combo into that. It only combos into the straight shot, which doesn't really get you any damage. It doesn't really get you any plus frames at all. Does it combo into the wall? Yeah, it does. Okay, so it does combo into the wall, and you can knock your opponent back. That's something you could do for sure. But for a bar of meter, you know, 16%, not all that great. But if you're tight on the punish, you know, and you want some damage, of course, you could just do the regular wall. It's completely fine. But that's his fastest button. 6 frames. It is a low, which is nice to have for his mix-ups. His fastest actual punish is 9 frames. You could either do stand 1, you go into 1-2-2, go into the straight shot, because 1-2 actually doesn't combo into this, which is surprising. I remember it comboing in the build that I played in the pre-release version of Injustice. Maybe they nerfed him after that, I'm not sure, but as you guys see, this does not combo. So the best you're gonna get is this right here, or you could do 1-2 into the wall. His other punish does combo. This does combo. So if you do want to punish, instead of going for this, you know, definitely use stand 2. I think it has more range as well. Not about the same range, but 2-1 actually does combo into the low thing. So then you could go for anything else after that. If you do get someone in the ice puddle, you do net some good damage. See, this combo string is really good. So his forward 2 is his best mid. His forward 2 is 11 frames. It's actually a very good mid, which you could combo into the low puddle. Very easy to hit confirm. 33%. So that's better than what I was doing. So you could definitely use jump 3 right here. Alright, there you go. So that's pretty much like the bread and butter combo right there for Captain Cold. So what you want to do anytime that you hit confirm into this, you use back 3, you do jump 3, which is the most damage, and then you either finish it with the wall or finish it with something else, anything you want. You know, you could even finish it with that to try to get a setup going. But always use this because it looks like it's the most damaging thing in the corner. I mean, mid-screen. In the corner, you're going to want to use this. But in mid-screen, that's a pretty solid damaging combo right there. But like I mentioned, forward 2, really good mid. Look at this. Character length. It goes into forward 2-3, which is completely safe. Forward 2-3 is actually minus, or it's actually 0, which is very, very good. That means it's 0 on block. You both can move at the same time. Very easy to hit confirm, and you could go into your low. So as far as mid-screen goes, that's Mr. Freeze in a nutshell, guys. So now let's go into some of the special moves, and then we'll go into the setups, which is what he's all about. He has this low puddle, and if you meter burn it, you actually create a little ice trap. And you could combo from it, of course, and you could have it set just in the neutral like that. They go away if you summon 2 of them, but as you guys see, you know, if at any point during the trap being out, if Batman actually steps on it, he is going to get frozen. And then, of course, you could go for a combo. See, I don't know what the use for stand 3 is. It's so weird. Why instead of stand 3, why not use his down 2? It's pretty much the same thing. But that trap is where your you know, your trap game is gonna come from with Captain Cold. Anytime, boom, gets frozen, you get a free combo. He also has his overhead icicle, comes from the sky. You could control its direction. It could either be close, mid, or far away. You know, far away for whenever you're zoning and stuff. Mid, far away. It doesn't go like completely full screen, but you guys could see the different ranges here. And if you meter burn it, you actually get a block of ice. As you guys see, I don't really see when you're gonna be able to use this, to be honest, because it's a bar of meter for this. I mean, if you're desperate to call your trade, the trade isn't that slow to call, which you need to, you know, get these blocks of ice to summon your trait or to, you know, charge up your trait. You know what I mean? One thing that's really cool, I just noticed his whenever his gun goes into overclock and the different trait combination or the different levels of trait, it actually changes his cold gun. That's really cool. I didn't even notice that till now. And then of course red, boom, instantly frozen. All right, now let's go into his trait, because really those are the only moves that Captain Cold has. Of course, he has the ice wall right here. It does 9%, does a good amount. If you meter burn it, sends your opponent away. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about his trait. His trait is definitely, it takes a little bit, but definitely not as much as it used to. It's a lot faster now, maybe a second per tick. There's 3 levels, so let's talk about the first level first. Whenever you activate it, you get coated in this, you know, spiky coat of ice. And what happens is every time that your opponent touches you, combos you, does a special move, they're actually losing damage. So as you guys see, Batman is losing damage right there. Obviously, he's doing a lot more damage to me, but that combo, keep in mind, my Batman is a little bit juiced up with gear, you know, versus my level 2 Mr. Freeze with no gear almost. So that actually did maybe around 5% of damage for that entire combo that he did. But of course, that's not the strongest one. You probably don't want to use that one too much, because it's really not worth it, because they take damage as they damage you. Level 2 is very interesting. So level 2, you actually hold forward and the trait button, and it creates this igloo of like ice. And the more your opponent is getting hit by the ice and he's inside the little igloo, he's gonna start freezing. And the reason here, I'm not gonna, could actually change the trait for it to be set at a certain way, which is really a really cool feature. But if you're like in here, and you can get your opponent with the grab in here, as you guys see, the opponent freezes, and you could get some nice damage. So grabbing your opponent while he's in the igloo is definitely like the best scenario, because not only are you getting the damage from the throw, but you're freezing your opponent as well. And you know, just the longer he's in there, you could be comboing him, stuff like that. Then you grab him, bam. Didn't combo there because I was a little bit too late, but you guys get the point. Like that, ice igloo is really good. Now let's go to level 3. Level 2 is very, very interesting. I have a feeling it might even be better than level 3, because it's you know, a wide area in which he's getting frozen, and there's nothing you can do about it, especially if he's getting grabbed. So level 3, pretty much, if you press down in the trait, it activates the instant freeze. Now, the further back you are, the longer it's gonna take, because it has to travel full screen. As you guys see, but if you're very close, you know, it's really fast. And of course, it does take, you know, time to actually go into it. But let's just say your opponent's jumping in at you, you could actually anti-air him with that. If your opponent is going to jump in on you, because Mr. Freeze actually lowers himself to the ground, so then you could anti-air him. So you could do many things with it. You could do it in a combo, Boom. Keep in mind, you cannot refreeze somebody. That's some good damage for no bar. You can refreeze someone, so I can't actually do my ice low and refreeze my opponent. It doesn't work that way. You know, in a combo, same thing. I cannot refreeze my opponent, so keep that in mind whenever you want to end your combos. But this is really good for anti-air, you know, for just having like an instant way to freeze your opponent. At any point in the screen, you could freeze your opponent. And I believe this does eat up projectiles, so if your opponent shoots out a projectile, this is actually going to eat it while it's going on the way to freeze the opponent. And you know, you have some pretty good you have pretty good advantage afterwards. You could even freeze your opponent and start trading up a little bit so you could get some more, you know, levels. So all right, now that we got that out of the way, that's pretty much all there is to Mr. Freeze, to be honest with you guys. Now let's move on to the corner here and talk a little bit about my setup that I had come up with during the pre-release event for Injustice 2. All right, so the setup is pretty simple in theory. I know a lot of people are going to optimize it as much as they can, you know, once the game actually comes out. But pretty much the gist of the setup is just to make your opponent block, having to block overhead and low, having to deal with this mix-up right here. Now, you could control what hits first. You could control whether your opponent has to block multiple layers of overhead and low situation. Like you could do this. Wait, I'm doing the wrong one. It's this one. I still get confused with the buttons. As you guys see, that I don't even know what hit first. The overhead hit first. And you could make your opponents block low first or overhead first. So if you want them to block overhead, you could actually check them and do that. As you guys see, that doesn't combo right there. Or you could wait a little bit and that did combo. Now, the reason why you would want to check your opponent is because he might want to try to poke you out when he wakes up. So if you check him with this, you actually have plus frames, and he's going to have to block the incoming overhead. So then, of course, you could get something like that. Like this, I should say. That's what combos. You get something like that. You know, or you could just hit him with this one. And then, you know, do whatever else you want. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the options that you could use to avoid your opponent getting out of the situation. And then I'll show you guys some other cool setups that I found once I got a little bit more playing time with Mr. Freeze in training mode. Alright, so if you know that your opponent is going to wake up or wants to wake up with a single hitting reversal, like for example, Batman has his slide. It hits once, so you could easily blow it up by doing a meter burn forward 3. So it would look something like this. Look something like that. Then you could refreeze him, put him into that same situation, and you know, just do different setups. Eventually your opponent is going to stop waking up because he's going to know that you're going to predict it, and you don't even have to blow it up with a reversal. Guess what? You could just block it and then punish according. So it's just a lot of mind games come into play whenever Mr. Freeze puts you in the corner, because are you going to go for the armor breaking setup or the reversal breaking setup? Are you just going to block? Are you actually going to go for the entire mix-up? You know, there's a lot of different possibilities that he could do. Not only that, since the this is so plus, you could actually get this out for free while Batman is you know, frozen, and at any point in it you could grab, and man, that jumping sucks. Definitely jump in with jump 1, this one right here, and then of course you go into any of that stuff. So there's a lot of different ways that you could actually blow up your opponent if he wants to try to counter that with a wake up attack. Like I said, meter burn forward 3 or just block. And then if he just wakes up, guess what? You're going to be able to, you know, put him into that situation. All right. And the last option here that I want to show you guys is what happens if your opponent delays wake up. So, where you at? All right. So I set Batman to delay wake up, and it's a long delay wake up. So you guys are going to see here, he's going to be on the ground for a very long time, a lot longer than normal. So if your opponent delays wake up and you know that he's delaying wake up a lot, like he's doing it after all of your setups, he thinks that that's the way to get out of this specific setup, is definitely not the case. So what you could do if your opponent delays wake up and you know he's going to do it, or you read that he's going to do it, is you don't want to do down one or anything like that. You actually just want to go straight into your ice trap. So the way it would look is something like this. And as you guys see, what hit first? Overhead, low, low. I have no idea what hit first. Everything was just there at the same time. So it doesn't matter if your opponent delays wake up, he's still gonna get hit. You know, obviously not there because it wasn't actually in a combo, but the overhead takes, you know, the icicle takes enough time so where your opponent is actually still gonna be waking up with the icicle hitting him. And of course, icicle restands, or, you know, it doesn't knock down, so it's perfect. As you guys see, it doesn't knock down. And of course, this doesn't knock down either, so it's perfect. As you guys see, what hit first? Everything just hits almost at the same time, so you don't really know what hits first. So that's how you deal with someone who is doing a delay wake up, and you know he's gonna do it. You hit him with that. And he's in the same situation again. He's gonna think twice about delaying wake up. He's gonna think twice about doing his reversal because you're punishing it with this, or you're just blocking. And then he's not gonna know what the hell to do. So then that's when, you know, this actually really comes into play, because then you get to mix them up that way. And the other thing that I did show you quickly is, of course, if you do get him into this, you could actually call in that and still combo your opponent, and he's actually slowed down in the whenever he's in the you know, icicle like area, time actually slows down for the opponent because he's getting frozen, or like he becomes slower. It's not really time slowing down, he just becomes slower because he's slowly freezing. So as you guys saw, he was just hanging there in the air while he was being comboed. It looks really cool. So of course, if you do get your opponent in, you know, something like this, you could actually call this out and, you know, maybe try to go for a grab. I think that was a little bit too far. Yeah, that was a little bit too far. See, he's not getting frozen right here, right? Yeah, he did get frozen actually. Same situation again. So there you guys have it. That is my corner setup and different answers to different things the opponent could do. Now I will say this, if your opponent has a double hitting reversal move, the meter burn is not going to work and you're just going to have to block it. The only thing that could blow up my setup and these different options, if things don't change, is actually a double hitting reversal attack. So just keep that in mind. But that's going to be the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. What's going on? It's Super here, and thank you for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you guys subscribed if you are not already. Also, check out any of these videos linked at the top. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.